Well, about a year after I got married, we had our first son, Daniel. He came into the world in the usual way. Nothing extraordinary about the pregnancy. He did come on his due date, which was interesting. In February of 2002, we had our son, Daniel. I remember my brother saying to me when I was holding my infant son, who had just been born, "You feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders." That about sums it up. Yang stayed with her mom, which was Korean tradition, for about 3 months after Daniel was born. So I basically missed when he was an infant with the father. Excuse me. The father is less than necessary at that point anyway. She breastfed him for, gosh, over, I'm going to say, 2 years, more than 2 years. And she would pump and leave breast milk when she went back to work. Now, Daniel, for me, was a very difficult baby. Very, very difficult. He would scream from pretty much the moment she left for work until I put him down to bed at night. I don't know. I never had younger siblings. I don't know anything about babies at this point. Nothing. So I would try to keep him from crying, but he would scream. Just a constant scream for 2 hours. And I remember going to my parents' home one night with him, and my mother, who's had 3 children, said there is something wrong with this child. There's something wrong with him. Of course, Yang never had the pleasure of dealing with that because she would just put him on the boob and not have to worry about anything. Normally they slept together during the day, off and on. And I watched him at night. She only worked 3 days a week, but considering she worked a 12-hour shift, you've got another day at least where she has to make up for her sleep. So I'm not complaining about it. Certainly was a test of my patience, Daniel was, as a baby. But we made it through. Pictures that I'm going to be posting none of them are him as a baby, because I can't find any pictures of him as a baby. I don't have much here in the way of anything that was taken out of that marriage. I gave her the house. I was later told that I was entitled to half of her 401k, and I left with nothing, but that story will come later. Daniel grew up, of course, as babies do. Now, something changed in Yang, honestly, once Daniel came. Now, she not only works as a nurse, she works mother-baby, so she's very familiar with infants and babies. and I couldn't do anything right with Daniel. Nothing. I couldn't hold him right. I couldn't walk him right. I couldn't do anything right with him. And she was just on me constantly about Daniel. Constantly. It became to a point where it was intolerable. Really, it was. Young really changed after Daniel was born. Our marriage changed. And Young is the type of person that takes no mistakes. Any mistake at all, normal human mistakes, is just not tolerable to her. So, it was difficult. It was difficult. Well, I continued to go to school, finishing up my undergraduate degree in education, social science. I was supposed to finish my education with my student teaching come the early part of 2004. Now here we get into what really changed me. I heard about these pills. Now they all have it's called dextromethorphan in it. The most common pill that people take is called, it's over the counter, it's called Coricidin in the purple box. Now these pills, I started taking these pills at the beginning of 2004. Honestly, I was looking for an escape, and I heard about them on the news. This dextromethorphan. Well, started taking Coricidin a lot, at the beginning of 2004. I started my student teachings, and I continued to take these pills. I found myself sleeping very, very little. This was January, starting in January of 2004. These pills are compared to PCP. The worst parts of the pills. You really delve down deep into your own subconscious, and wrestle with the demons that are there. Well, I found myself, I was still doing my student teaching, which was like work because I had to be there the entire student day, and 5 days a week. And I was in a school that is less than the nicest school in Huntsville, inner city high school. I was taking these pills just like crazy. I had become really an addict to them. I was sleeping an average of maybe 6 to 8 hours a week at this point. I would spend just all night long on Christian chat rooms. I had got it in my head to start talking about Lucifer. Well, I have come to the conclusion as to what Lucifer is. Lucifer is nothing but the morning star. It is just another name for the morning star that is Venus, a Latin name. I have a video about this called Lucifer and Satan are not the same being. Well, Lucifer is not a being at all, folks. So these people who call themselves Luciferians and whatnot are just fools. Lucifer is only the Latin name for the planet Venus. That's all it is. You are just referencing Venus, unless you're, of course, worshipping the goddess Venus, and somehow she represents Lucifer. I don't know. But what I do know is Lucifer is only a name, a Latin name, for this planet Venus. Got it in my head come March that I needed to tell people. I was taking these pills constantly, and these pills, comparable to PCP, on top of the fact that I wasn't sleeping, I was going around just telling random people on the street about what I believed was going to happen. And that was I believed at that point that George W. Bush was going to declare martial law, and that people needed to leave the country. Well, I got it in my head to go around and tell everybody this. Now, I am not going to sit here and tell you that what I was doing was at all sane. It wasn't. I was heavily influenced by the drugs, and I was heavily influenced by the fact that I hadn't slept in so long, not real sleep. So, in March of 2004, I found myself in a high school. I had just walked in through a side door. And just as I was telling these random people, I walked into a room and there was a few high school kids in it. I think it was a class for exceptional students, they call them. I bent over and I whispered in this girl's ear, "Get out of the country." Now, I mean, get out of the country because there's martial law is about to be declared. She freaked out and started screaming. Well, the police came and they took me off to the hospital. I was on a manic high like you wouldn't believe for weeks after that. I was in the hospital for 9 or 10 days. I don't know how long. And at this point, Young wanted me back, so there was no real worry about me being committed in 2004. I came back home. I ended up finishing up my schooling. I won't go into details of that. It's just going to bore you. I finished up my schooling come fall of 2004. We went on a big long trip in the summertime, and I'll get one of those pictures of the Mount Rushmore, driving all the way from Alabama way out there to Colorado. I wanted to see the Rocky Mountains. It's very therapeutic for me after everything that happened. But I made my break at that point with Christianity. Christianity was gone. So as much of hell that I went through, I did finally, during that time, I finally destroyed the Christian constructs in my mind. And I started drinking again after 9 years. So there was that. To be continued.